Alright, so previously the exhaust came out right there like a dump, but before that he had a full exhaust that goes straight to the back, but it came down a lot lower than what I would like, and when you put it up, it's right under the speaker, which I didn't like either. So what I did was I brought up the exhaust about 4 inches, and then I tucked it up under the frame. Alright, so today I'm going to be making exhaust tips for the Cutlass. Previously I had made these end pieces. So it's basically just this piece, cut the top radius off, and then put them together, weld them, and you get this. And then now I'm going to be making the transition pieces. So it'll go from this 3-inch oval to this like 4.5 oval. So you can see there's a big difference. So I gotta make these adapters. Alright, so here's the transition pieces. 2 pieces that come together. When I put them together, they meet. They're flush. They fit nice. So now I can weld them up. So, got the engine back together. We have, I pulled part of the distributor apart so I could recurve the ignition. It had a, what do you call it? It had a silver bushing in it, which limited the advance to about 25 degrees in the distributor.
A silver bushing versus...
So, the premise is basically, the car is a little bit sluggish on the bottom end, right? On the low end. So we put a different converter in it and a little bit tighter converter because it's a big block, 455, so it makes a lot of torque. Okay. So you don't want to have a stall that supersedes the torque curve, right? It's higher than the torque curve because you just blow past the powerful part of the engine, right, so to speak. So so we got a new converter in it, and a little bit tighter converter, and we're going to change the ignition curve. So the ignition curve, I checked it, it was, I think you had about 22 degrees advance, and then so that means the ignition is firing the fuel, is lighting out the fuel 20 degrees before the piston reaches top dead center, right? So that's not actually, it's pretty good, but it's still a little sluggish. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the bushing in the distributor, which allows us to put more initial timing. So maybe we can go to like 25 degrees before top dead center from idle. And then what we're going to do is, but from the factory, they come with a smaller bushing. So if you put 25 degrees before top dead center at idle, and when you rev the engine up, it actually puts more into it on top of that. So these weights, they fling out with these springs, and it goes to like, I mean, the factory setting for the distributor is like 4,000 RPM. So you don't want 50 to 60 degrees of timing. The engine will basically knock. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a black bushing in it, which limits the initial, which limits the timing in the distributor to 18 degrees. So if you put 20 on the initial and 18 in the distributor, you got 38, right? That car probably takes about 42, 40, something like that. And then also we're going to change the spring, which changes the rate in which the weights actually fly out, which changes the curve of the distributor. So the lighter the spring, the quicker the distributor advances the ignition timing.
I see.
So basically what happens is when this spins, these weights, they fling out like this.
Yeah.
And then it advances it like that. New converter, and that is the sealing area there.
Let's see.
If you can see there.
Oh, it's not that close. There you go.
So that was after about 20 minutes of running, revving up.
Oh, you gotta show this to the customer. He'll be so happy.
So that was dry as a bone.
Nice.
Dry as a bone in the desert.
That's pretty dry. So Andrew finished the exhaust. It went from this, what was it, like about right here?
Yeah.
Like that?
Like all twisted.
Even when...
No, when it was...
Not, well, we know what it looked like when it came because it was already off.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like that. And then the pipes were hanging out below far below the tank and the axle.
About 4 inches lower.
Yeah. So it tucked everything up. And then some scraps that we had. And then we went... Andrew made the tips, painted them black, tucked them real nice against the bumper, so you can't really see it that well. But if you're looking, obviously you can see that it's there. So yeah, which one would you rather have, this or that?
That.
So yeah, this is much more low profile.
Yeah.
It's hard to have a big round tip sticking underneath the bumper and not have it be kind of gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so that's done. So now, time for test drive. So you can still, the motor still has some degree of freedom below 2,000, so it's not actually dragging it's not so tight where it's dragging the motor down, where the stall is prohibiting it from basically idling without, struggling.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is much better.
Way better.
It sounds good too.
Yeah, I like it. I think it sounds better.
Yeah, I do too. So we're at about 160. All right, I'm gonna get out and check it real quick. The idle does need to be raised a little bit.
Yeah.
Alright, moment of truth. I don't see anything. Looks pretty good so far. About 65 psi, so there's plenty of oil pressure, so everything's kind of warmed up and as it should be during normal conditions. So, doing it now, it ain't gonna like
Nope.
Jose's. It was the first rope seal that I did, but that I did it when I was building the motor. So, but
was
even then I was like, man, hope this is right.
Yeah.
But I did, obviously I took every precaution and I took my time. It doesn't leak at all. So
Yeah.
So if you do it right, they will not leak.
Did his crank have those lines in it?
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's weird.
So this is where it was leaking last time. Is it camera again? All right, moment of truth. Dry as a bone.
Sweet.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Bone dry.
Yeah, the crank is.
I think it's so dry, I think it rusted. Perfect.
That's sweet.
Perfect.
Heck yeah.
Mission accomplished.
That's sick.
All right, fudge. All right, cool. I was
All right.
worried. I was
All right.
worried about that. I never put a seal in with the motor, so.